Welcome to the 2014 Channel 12 Sports Hall of Fame Induction Show. I'm Jay Wilcox. We've had the privilege of covering a lot of outstanding athletes in the northwest suburbs.
I sure have, Jay. I'm John Jacobson, and today we honor three of the best in their sports who are part of some memorable teams. They'll become the new kids in our Hall of Fame.
Before getting to this year's inductees, we thought we would recap our most recent class.
Here's part of what you saw a year ago with our class of 2013 featuring Tara Lobdell, Caleb Marks, Kurt Carlson, and Stephanie Erickson. Erickson was a freshman in the fall of 1990 when former pro soccer player Tony Pesniker took over as the team's head coach. Wayzata went from 3 wins in 1989 to 15 in 1990 and a state runner-up finish.
Chance and a goal! 2-0 Trojans!
Steph was the team's leading scorer that season, and Wayzata soccer was on its way.
I think I came to the realization that my more than 4 years playing on the varsity team here were some of the best memories of my soccer career. It was just such a special time. I think we started something really cool.
Carlson saved his best for last as a member of the Crimson, taking 2 individual and 2 relay state titles as a senior.
I think my last year and my senior year I won, I was able to win my 2 individual events, and then our 2 relays actually won 2. So that was really cool to have 4 championship wins at my last championship meet of my high school career and stuff like that.
Kurt won the 100 and 200 freestyle at the state meet in his junior and senior seasons. Still, it was the relays and overall team success that interested him most.
A 3-year varsity athlete in football, basketball, and baseball, Caleb and the Crimson qualified for the state football playoffs in 1998.
Marks to the end zone, and he's there for the touchdown.
The state baseball tournament in 98, 99, and 2000.
21st run batted in for Caleb Marks.
The state basketball tournament in 2000. Getting to state 5 times, a big deal.
I was always most proud of that, and that feat is a real testament to the teams and the coaches that I've had. Not a lot of students or athletes growing up had access to the same kind of players and coaches that I was able to.
Lobdell with the kill.
Lobdell helped Armstrong to the state tournament as a junior, and as a senior was part of an amazing season.
Meisner gets the block at the net, and Armstrong wins it.
The Falcons didn't lose a match on the way to winning the state title in the fall of 2000, as Lobdell and fellow 12 Sports Hall of Famer Marcy Pinata led the way.
Looking back now, what an amazing year that was of going undefeated and winning the state championship. Not many teams get to accomplish that. So during the process, didn't really seem that it was a big deal. But looking back, what an awesome group of girls and teammates that we had that year.
A great group, and that brings us to our 2014 Hall of Fame class. First up, we meet a woman from Golden Valley who was part of a tremendous group of female athletes at her school in the early 2000s. She gave hitters fits on the softball diamond and led her team to a championship. We're happy to induct 2001 Armstrong graduate Missy Beseres into our Channel 12 Hall of Fame.
It was a great honor to hear. It's funny to get back and talking with you guys, kind of reliving old memories, but Channel 12 had a big part in our success. I feel like letting people know about softball in Minnesota.
Golden Valley native Missy, who is now Missy Beseres Dow, had a great high school pitching career starting when she was still in middle school. After not pitching in her junior season because of injury, rise ball specialist Missy was dominant as a senior in 2001. Going 21-4 with a 0.31 ERA and 268 strikeouts, earning her Star Tribune Metro Player of the Year honor. After fighting off an elimination game to sweep Richfield to win the ultra-competitive Section 6-3A tournament,
Armstrong is headed to state.
The Falcons survived a 15-inning semifinal in the state tournament and then rallied past Lakeville to take the first and only state softball title in Falcons history.
Situation. Cut and a miss, and there it is! Armstrong, the Class 3A state champion.
Not known for her speed, Missy also scored the eventual winning run in that game with savvy base running.
The first base runner, Hill, and now Beseres coming to the plate. She is in.
Here's what Beseres had to say that day.
It's means so much, and it's so special because we're all so close, and graduating and leaving is kind of a nice note to head out on.
And here's what she says now, looking back 13 years later.
Really good memories. I think we all really came together as a group, and softball was really, really high caliber at that time. So being able to play in the state championship and win, it's some of the best memories I have of playing.
Having a superb pitcher like Beseres sure didn't hurt.
Missy was probably the best pitcher that went through Armstrong. She had all the pitches. She was a grinder. She would pitch as much as you wanted her to pitch, and she worked really hard at her craft.
Missy followed her older sister Jenny into the pitching circle, and we first saw her in 1995 helping pitching coach and Channel 12 softball analyst Stan Waldhauser demonstrate a series of softball tips. She worked with her neighbor Stan extensively and gives him tons of credit for her success.
Stan Waldhauser was the reason why we had pitchers in our house. Between his house and our house, we had a park in between, and so, you know, it was a routine of I'd wake up, I'd have my SpaghettiOs, and I'd meet him at the park every day. Something I remember is he never wore a watch, so you never knew how long you were going to be out there for, but you knew when you hit your quality and he thought that you were doing well, your lesson would be over. So really, I give credit to Stan. I mean, he is the one who helped me become the pitcher that I ended up being.
The determination of I want to get better, I want to be better than Jenny, I want to be the best, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. That's the thing that impressed me. I mean, she lived 2 blocks down the street here, and I live 2 blocks down that street, and she would call me and say, let's go to the park and pitch. And I'm always impressed by young ball players who don't have mom or dad call, but they pick up the phone themselves. And she was, what, 10, 12 years old at the time.
Stan's help has been big for Missy. So has the inspiration provided by her big sister, who pitched at Northwestern after her Armstrong days.
Yes, Jenny is my hero. Till this day, she still is on my phone whenever I need any advice, mentoring, anything like that. She's a good big sister. She fills the role well.
After high school, Beseres had a superb career at Penn State. For the Nittany Lions, she's first in career, season, and single-game strikeouts, second in career wins, was third team All-Big Ten twice, and was a 2-time team MVP.
My time at Penn State, I would never trade for anything. You know, a university that's built on pride and tradition. My teammates from that, I mean, they're all in my wedding, all came to my wedding. They're, you know, bonds that I'll never, ever be able to replace. But playing in the Big Ten was something that I always strived to be since we grew up in Minnesota and playing in the region. So,
after college and a stint in professional fast pitch with the Chicago Bandits, Beseres decided she wanted to stay involved with softball.
I think when I wanted to continue being a part of the game after my Bandits career, I played for a year, and then I ended up being asked to apply at the Loyola position. And at that point I thought, okay, I'm getting old, it might be hard to keep playing. When I went to Loyola, I thought this is a great way to help out, and it's been a great career ever since.
After 4 seasons as an assistant, Missy became head coach of Division I program Loyola Chicago. She was 2011 Horizon League Coach of the Year and won 2 conference titles in 4 seasons. This summer, she accepted a job as pitching coach at Wisconsin, where her former boss at Loyola, Yvette Healy, is now the head coach.
It was kind of one of those perfect opportunities, knowing I've worked for Yvette before. They've got some really good pitching talent coming in, and a vacancy happened, so.
A love for the game, competitive fire, and a great work ethic. Add it all up, and it makes Missy Beseres Dow a Hall of Famer.
Oh, and swings and misses instead. And
John, what a great pitcher she was. And I remember she was at the same time as a couple other outstanding pitchers in the Classic Lake Conference with Angie Reckner at Hopkins and Lynn Pyre at Minnetonka. Really 3 probably of the 5 best pitchers in the state at that time.
You get a lot of those 1-0 12-inning games. It wasn't uncommon that season for a couple seasons there in the Lake Conference. And you mentioned earlier in your story, too, what great teammates she had around her at Armstrong that were part of that championship team.
Yeah, certainly a great team. Once they won that Section 6 title, they knew they had a pretty decent shot at state. And very hectic summer for Missy this year. She got married in June and then took that job at Wisconsin and jumped right in. And best of luck to her in her new position at Wisconsin.
And welcome her to our Hall of Fame. Time for our first break. And when we come back here on Channel 12, we'll meet a former basketball star from Hopkins who is now giving back to the community that helped shape his life. A Hopkins boys basketball team has reached the state tournament 13 times in the past 22 seasons, winning 6 championships. A talented and committed core group of players, including the newest member of the 12 Sports Hall of Fame, helped start it all. He was an all-state forward that helped propel Hopkins to the top of the prep basketball world 2 decades ago. We welcome 1995 Hopkins High School graduate James Ware into the 12 Sports Hall of Fame.
Nice shot, scored.
Ken Novak Jr. had returned to his alma mater 3 years earlier, and in the 1992-93 season, coached the Royals to the first state tournament for Hopkins since 1974. James was a sophomore reserve on that team and remembers it as a breakthrough year for the program.
That was the first year, I think, as a program, as a team, and as individuals, you know, we really started feeling like, you know what, this is something we can do. We can be back here consistently if as a collective we all kind of come together and really start pushing.
After a 5th place finish in the 93 tournament, James worked hard during the off-season and became a starter in his junior year. Teaming with players like Justin White, Matt Arnold, and Lyman Myers, the Royals won Section 6AA again and just lost out on a state title, losing a heartbreaker in the final seconds against Minneapolis Washburn. The bond he developed with his teammates in high school helped shape James' life, and he believes those of his teammates too.
Through basketball, we kind of found our thing, so to speak, and it impacted so many other parts of our life. Impacted us to want to be better academically. And we were a relatively, you know, small group of players back then, but we all kind of looked out for each other, you know, whether it was basketball or at school, and it just kind of really blossomed from there.
By 1994-95, Ware had developed into one of the state's top players. He averaged over 24 points a game as a senior and edged Armstrong standout John Bryant for the Lake Conference scoring title.
Jimmy really became a dominant player because his advantage, he could really shoot it, and he got to the point where he could really get to the basket. And you know, he was playing a little out of position, which all those guys were, but it became a really tough, hard-nosed, smart player.
Perhaps the best of Ware's 3 high school teams, Hopkins was unbeaten and ranked number 2 in the state in 1995 when the Royals were unexpectedly upset by a Minnetonka team they had defeated twice during the regular season.
We had a really good group and got close. We were 25-0 all year. You know, we saw Minneapolis North was the other team. They were number 1. I think they were undefeated as well, and we kind of had our eyes on them.
James' dreams of playing Division I college basketball were realized the next year. He began a 5-year journey that started in Colorado.
I went to Colorado State out of high school. It was a great school situation, but after 2 years really hadn't played a whole lot. So I transferred to a junior college in Midland, Texas, and after going to that junior college, went to Texas Tech right up the street. It was just a great opportunity to do something I loved at a high level.
James was all Big 12 honorable mention as a senior at Texas Tech, and after briefly trying to make it in pro ball, James turned to coaching. He returned to Novak, a man he considers his mentor. Ware was on the Hopkins staff during the early 2000s, with teams led by Chris Humphreys and Dan Coleman that resulted in a 2002 state Class 4A title.
Gives it off to Humphreys for the dunk.
At the same time, James was earning his master's degree in education at the University of Minnesota and landed a spot on the Gophers coaching staff, beginning a 10-year career in college coaching.
Dan Munson was the head basketball coach at the University of Minnesota. Worked for him for 3 years. Had an opportunity to go out and work for a coach that I had played for at Utah State, Stu Morrill. And so worked at Utah State for 2 years and then 4 years at Santa Clara University, where I was able to recruit Ray Cowles, who was a Hopkins player.
But after 4 years at Santa Clara, James decided he'd had enough of the travel demands of a college assistant. He returned home to Minnesota and landed a job at Hopkins North Junior High, where he was once a student. Now he's in his 2nd year as an assistant principal.
To be able to be a part of such a committed district in terms of education, just everything that this district is about. To be able to come back to a school that I went to at North Junior High is just such a great opportunity.
James coaches his 10 and 12-year-old sons, Jimmy and JJ, in Brooklyn Park traveling basketball, and is back coaching at Hopkins too, serving as a great role model to the current high school players.
He understands kids pretty well, and he empathizes well. In order to be a good coach, you have to be able to empathize, and he does. He empathizes, he understands other people's feelings, other people's, things in their lives that are affecting them, and he's able to work on that, deal with it. He's able to give kids the extra time.
That's really what I wanted to do was teach and coach. Quite honestly, my goal, my dream, I just wanted to be like Coach Novak. You know what I mean? Teach social studies, coach basketball, be in the gym in the summer, so there are a lot of things that I get to be a part of.
Jay, we did that interview at the Lindbergh Center, which was built after he was done with his high school career, and we talked about his career at Hopkins, and they played in we call it the old gym now at Hopkins. He said, the thing I remember most about that, he said how loud it was for some of our games, and how hard the floor was. He said it was basically just the floor on top of concrete. It was very hard when he took a charge.
Yeah, it brought back some good memories, even just for me to walk into that gym too. And it was an intimidating gym. It's not as large as the Lindbergh Center, obviously, but for a visiting player, tough place to play, no doubt.
And he's happy with his career in education. He liked college coaching, but it's a tough thing to do when especially when you got kids you're trying to raise and coach in basketball. And so happy to be back here in the area again.
And we're happy to see him at Hopkins again as well. Stay with us. After this break, we meet the third member of the class of 2014 who was part of a famous football family in Minnesota. Welcome back to our 2014 Channel 12 Hall of Fame special. Our third inductee this year comes from a very athletic family and joins his older brother in our Hall of Fame. He's best known for his exploits on the football field and was pretty good on the ice, too. We welcome 2004 Wayzata graduate Dominique Barber into our 12 Sports Hall of Fame.
It's an unbelievable feeling. I'm truly honored to be a part of the Hall of Fame, and like I said, it's an honor, it's a blessing, and thank you. Thank you, Cable 12. Appreciate it.
He went on to play at the highest level, but for Dom, an all-Metro pick in the fall of 2003 for the Trojans, Friday Night Lights was as good as it gets.
It's Wayzata football. It doesn't get any better. And I tell all the kids even today that, playing on Saturdays is great, playing on Sundays is great, but there's nothing like playing on Friday. Friday night under the lights, you're playing for your town, and it's an unbelievable feeling.
It's Barber breaking tackles into the end zone, touchdown.
Barber rushed for 918 yards and 9 TDs as a senior, caught 25 passes for another 288 yards, and also broke up 9 passes and intercepted 1 as a defensive back. His coaches recall his talent, but much more, too.
The big thing about Dom is he was such a great two-way player for us. We played him both in the secondary and as a halfback, and he really excelled on both sides of the ball. And the big thing I can remember about Dom is it was a playoff game against Maple Grove his senior year, and I think the game was really tight at the end, and we needed to drive the ball to put the game away. And I think we basically gave it to him about 8 times in a row, running inside and outside zone, and he finished it off with a touchdown. So that was a really big memory for me of him, and just his positive attitude. Dom always played with a smile on his face and was very infectious.
He kind of was an under-the-radar star, and so I always had a soft spot in my heart for Dom because he did unbelievable things, and he's even a better person. And he accomplished unbelievable things in the sport, fighting uphill because he was young, and so I can't be prouder of him.
As the son of Gopher great and NFLer Marion Barber and brother of Cowboy star Marion Barber III, Dom could have felt some pressure. He says it wasn't a burden at all.
It was definitely a positive. I loved it. A lot of people can ask you, hey, you get the comparison a lot, whatnot, but to me it's all about family. And growing up, it was never, are you going to be as good as your dad? Are you going to be as good as your brother? It was just, at least in my family, just be the best you can be.
After Wayzata, Barber had a strong career as a defensive back for the Gophers. He earned second-team All-Big Ten honors as a senior, while also being named team MVP and outstanding defensive player.
The friendships that you develop, here at this university, it's unreal. Willie Vandesteeg, a teammate of mine, one of my best friends. He was, best man at my wedding, and it's a true fraternity. The University of Minnesota football team.
After being picked in the 6th round, Dom played for the Houston Texans through the 2011 season.
4 years with the Houston Texans, that's a long time. It's funny. A lot of guys in the NFL, they don't actually say the NFL stands for the National Football League. They say it stands for not for long. So you try to get your time in when you can, and I was able to get 4 years in, and I was proud of that. Played a lot of games.
His football exploits alone are impressive, but forgotten by many is the fact that Barber also was a key cog on a state tournament hockey team for Wayzata.
Some people don't even believe me that I played, but I still, to this day, am probably one of the biggest hockey fans around, whether it's college or professional. I'm a big fan. We got to play in the state tournament. We got 4th my senior year, and I think it was the first time in 50 years that Wayzata had gone to the state tourney. So, that was obviously an honor.
And Dom possessed so many great hockey qualities. I mean, he had speed and quickness, and he was physical and tough, and he had a great shot and good hands, and he was such an important part of our team. He was also a captain his senior year. And the thing I admire the most about Dom is his genuine caring of his teammates. I mean, he's just a great leader.
He's now back at the U of M working as a recruiter and finishing his degree, just adding to his Hall of Fame credentials for Dominique Barber. John, one of the things I remember most about Dom really is just that smile. Like the coaches said, just always positive guy, and really one of the least big-headed stars, I think, and really a credit to the family, and obviously following in his brother and father's footsteps. He'd learned a lot about football that way, but just had a great career on his own, too.
I remember doing a story on him very early in his college career. He and James Laurinaitis were such great friends. And James, of course, went to Ohio State. Both guys played in the NFL. And you could probably win a lot of bets, for those who didn't know Wayzata, that they were both really good hockey players in high school.
I think it would have been interesting to see if either of them had tried to play college hockey, because I think they were definitely both good enough. But I do think football worked out pretty well for both of them, too.
It did. And welcome Dominique Barber into our Hall of Fame. We'll be back and wrap up our show right after this.
That brings our 2014 Hall of Fame show to a close. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks to all of our Hall of Famers for taking the time to talk with us, and also to all of the schools that helped us with pictures and videos. Go to our website to watch the show at 12.tv. Thanks for watching.